I never saw the other two ones in original. I have only a book, but and so then the idea came. Maybe we do it in a similar way. I chose two similar formats, and the Missing Link in Delphi painting is already finished. And then I'm searching for something similar to this kind of war trilogy of Uccello. And then the Eclectica painting came, which is, you know, the one here in the middle, which shows, I mean, you see, when the name Eclectica is, of course, we all know this is a moment in art history to use, you know, Eclectica as more like a mix with different styles comes together. And then I found a very totally hotspot, but also very dangerous man, a hedge fund manager with a name I have forgot. But his hedge fund called also Eclectica. And I saw an interview where he, you know, everybody's talking about crisis and how bad everything is and so, and he said, no, hedge funds are fine and risk is good and whatever, and we should change capitalism and blah, 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 and more risk and more fun. So, but very, and he was also talking about Karl Marx and communism and whatever, and everything comes for him together in his very bloody hedge fund, you know, which is, yeah, whatever today. And this is, for example, a very nice thing. The two maybe a positive and a negative line comes together in one title. You know, for this guy, eclectic things is representing his hedge funds, and for me, before eclecticism was representing always a very interesting style in art history, in the Renaissance, or a little bit later than the Renaissance. So that's because the title came. And the composition of this painting, it's a kind of a version of which I have maybe since 2 or 3 years. I'm building up a little bit a kind of a lexicon of my shapes and forms and things, what I have in all my paintings, because a couple of things coming again and again, some very simple forms, and the representation is always in between a logo or a letter, maybe some numbers or some kind of very hard to explain. Everything is nearby an invention, so it's not really found. But I need 100,000 things to find before, and then maybe I catch up something in between, a symbol and logo, or some representational form you have never seen before, hopefully. But still, when you see it first time, you get a memory of something what you saw behind you. Otherwise, it's silly and also senseless. So there's a small gap in between how I can find my stuff. And the next key question for me is then, which this show is not representing, but generally, I'm a very serious man to find the kind of the perfect composition, like in a very traditional way. But I also know the system today, we see everything is the opposite. It's everything is a detail, you know. Everything is a scan or some rip-off, or you know. It doesn't matter if the page is cut today, or is it really has a frame, or like even in the music, it doesn't matter. You know, all the kids, they're going to Napster and buying one song. And for the musician, it's very important. This is my album. Has an A side, has a B side. The songs are on the right order. So, but nobody takes care of the user anymore. and a little bit is the same thing. What I have in a what I think, what I believe, what is a composition, really. Only to go totally 100% only in a traditional thing, which is also senseless. So the past is still the past. So I'm totally 100% contemporary, of course. So I'm not believing only in this old stuff. Of course not. But yeah, it's a different. Of course, everything is changing, and in a way, as how we get an information on an image or in a composition.
Do you feel the same way about your artwork with the albums, that these 3 works or these 4 works should stay together or be represented together? Or do you feel they'd be okay to be separated and displayed in that way?
That's because I'm doing all my artist books and not catalogs by myself. Because in every interview I say the artist book is for me the best solo show. So the show is closing in 5 weeks or whatever, and maybe we have some images on the website or whatever. But the book is still tells you everything, or everything what I want to show. So
that was actually one thing that we were discussing today, just earlier today, really, about your book and about how it's really through your book that we understand the process and how you come to arrive at the work. And we wondered actually if it would be on display with your painting. So it was really nice to see your artist book.
Yeah, the artist book is I mean, if it's sensible and if I can, the books are represented like a sculpture or like a piece. And I designed a special pedestal, that the book is not flat, more like this. So everything has a kind of relationship to make it better or sensible or whatever.
And would you consider your archive, your personal archive, part of your work? Like, would it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you in any time show it?
I mean, everybody knows, for example, the very famous Atlas by Gerhard Richter. Yeah. I saw this on a documenta once years ago, and this is on one hand, and everybody knows. And then on the other hand is, I think every artist is doing this more or less. Every musician is having tons of records, and every football star is collecting games on video. So this is not so special, but then I mean, it looks very nice, and everybody, when some people come to my studio, everybody wants to see it, and for me it's not so interesting to show it, but for other people it's always interesting to have it. So I don't know why, but maybe since 4 or 5 years, I mean I'm very bad in art history generally. So somebody showed me this Atlas stuff by Abi Warburg, which is kind of the first guy who did it in a very professional way, and he changed also our iconography of our world. What is the image doing with us? When you have the Michelangelo on a postcard, you have the Michelangelo in a book, and you have the Michelangelo on a stamp. So and this is exactly what I was always thinking before. Yeah, maybe to see the Michelangelo on a stamp, it's for me enough to get an idea of whatever for a sculpture. So and everything is in this same format on this filter. It's totally interesting for me. Also, maybe when you read next, I don't know the title in English of the Walter Benjamin, the very famous book about art in time of. Yeah. because 95% of everything what is important in the art history I saw first in the book, of course, and then in original. So that's generally interesting. So, and yeah, that's, and of course I could show this in a very large displays in vitrines or whatever, but I think it's not really interesting because my quality should be really then on the canvas. And it is at the moment it is a little bit fashionable to show more the context than the original pieces, because you know everybody is struggling with the pieces, and we have a very complicated time at the moment. Nobody knows where's the direction. So, and we have a lot of genres, and there's this school, old school, and blah blah blah, whatever, and the postmodern time is maybe over, and the 21st century is I don't know. And my kind of personal